Chris Paul, CP3, the point god, or whatever you want to call him, is one of the best point guards in NBA history. And while he may not be the tallest player or the most explosive player, his basketball IQ and acumen for the game is through the roof. And as a result, he's made every single team he's ever been a part of better. And that's a well-documented fact. I mean, once upon a time, he took Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, and the entire Suns organization from the slums of the Western Conference to within 2 games of winning a championship. How crazy is that, right? The Clippers, the Rockets, the Thunder, Phoenix, it doesn't matter where he goes. Winning follows him. And now, well, he's with the greatest dynasty the modern NBA has ever known, Golden State. And from the way the season is playing out, it's quite evident, but I'm just going to go ahead and say it anyway. They should have never let the Warriors acquire Chris Paul. So, in 2023, it's already well documented. The Warriors didn't just have the best starting 5 in the league, they had a historically good starting 5 that routinely outscored opponents by 24 points. Well, in 2024, not only did they retain that lethal lineup that ran through teams, but they also got this lineup now. Just for a quick FYI, so far into the year, the Warriors have the #1 bench unit in the entire league. I mean, in the non-Curry minutes, which are now called the Chris Paul Show, they've been routinely outscoring opponents game after game after game. I mean, time after time after time. Chris Paul has been able to organize the offense and just deliver pinpoint dimes to his teammates, who are then pretty much left with either a practice shot or a cone drill. Logically speaking, pairing up the best starting 5 in the NBA with the best bench in the NBA can only spell trouble for the league. How in the world did the NBA let this happen? Like, the last time a Chris Paul trade almost unbalanced the league was back in 2011 when he was almost paired up with the Black Mamba himself, Kobe Bryant. Unfortunately for the Lakers that year, David Stern came to his senses and swooped in to veto the trade before the 2 superstars could pair up and completely wreak havoc on the league. Sheesh, guys. I can't believe the Warriors were really able to swap Jordan Poole for Chris Paul, the frickin' point god. Don't get me wrong here, guys. I still love the Poole party and will never forget the huge plays he made for the Warriors back in their 2022 championship run. But the fact of the matter is, this trade was such a steal for the Warriors. Like, first off, for the season so far, Jordan Poole is averaging 17 points per game on 42% shooting from the floor, 30% from 3, and throwing alley-oops off the backboard while his team is down 20 points. That's not overall a pretty picture. And while some may say that's still better than Chris Paul's 8 points per game on 34% shooting from the floor and abysmal 4.8% from 3, the thing about CP3 is he doesn't need to score to make his impact felt. And since I'm a numbers guy, let me show you what I mean. Here are the box scores of the first 6 games of the season for the Warriors. And as y'all can clearly see, it doesn't matter if Chris Paul starts. It doesn't matter if Chris Paul comes off the bench. And heck, it doesn't even matter if Chris Paul misses every single field goal attempt. He's always a positive in the plus-minus department. What that means is, even if he's shooting 4.8% from beyond the arc, even if he's not really contributing towards the points department, whenever he's on the floor, the Warriors are outscoring their opponent. And here's a crazy story. So in that crazy game against the OKC Thunder to start the in-season tournament, Chris Paul only had 1 point, while OKC literally couldn't miss. I mean, Lou Dort went 6 for 6 from beyond the arc for 29 points, Chet Holmgren went 7 for 9 from the field for 24 points, and for the better part of 48 minutes, the Thunder looked like they had a cheat code on. Anywhere on the floor, anytime, with a defender in their face or not, every shot they took landed in the basket. And yet, even with Chris Paul scoring just 1 measly point, he was still a +6 in the plus-minus department. That pretty much sums up what Chris Paul has meant for the Warriors so far this season. And as a result of this, as a result of CP3 being on the Warriors, I don't want to have to say I told you so, but I told you so. Look, the Golden State Warriors are now first in the Western Conference. First. And do y'all know what the major difference is? A 6'0", 38-year-old, 175-pound guard from North Carolina was acquired. See what I mean by the NBA shouldn't have let the Warriors acquire CP3? They went from a team that couldn't win a game on the road to save their lives to becoming a team that can't lose on the road. They're literally wreaking havoc on the league now because of Chris Paul. Like, I know he's 38 years old, but just like Steph Curry, because his game is more predicated on skills rather than athleticism, his body is still in tip-top shape. I mean, just look at this play here in transition, where Chris Paul brings the ball up the floor, then uses the screen to get by the initial defender, then easily gets past a 27-year-old Sabonis before laying the ball up in traffic. Here's another look, where Paul is still able to use his handles and subtle movements to create just enough space to shoot it over the length of a 6'8" defender. CP3 isn't who he used to be in terms of physicality, but that does not matter. Because of his skills and basketball IQ, he's still just as impactful. Quite honestly, he should be in contention for the Sixth Man of the Year in 2024. I mean, he's coming off the bench and is the main catalyst for the Warriors having the most lethal second unit in the league. And if he does win Sixth Man of the Year, this will probably be the first time in NBA history that the award winner averaged a near double-double of 10 points and 10 assists. Unprecedented is what Paul is doing for the Warriors. And the crazy thing is, the second lineup which he leads is only going to get better and better. Like, so far, the combination of CP3, the young glove, Moody, Kuminga, and Saric haven't even played a quarter of a season together yet. They're still in the process of building up their chemistry. And imagine what this group is going to look like once they get more and more on-court reps together. I mean, imagine him and Kuminga developing more of a two-man game. That's going to be a problem for the NBA. Then here's the last reason why they should have never let the Warriors acquire Chris Paul. So, as of now, the Warriors are already at the top of the Western Conference. As I've shown, their bench unit is already the best bench unit in the league when it comes to outscoring other benches, and here's the scary truth about this whole picture. They're doing this while Chris Paul is shooting 34% from the field and 4.8% from three. In other words, they're dominating the league while Chris Paul is in the middle of a historic shooting slump. You know, on average for his career, CP3 shoots it at about 47% from the field and 37% from three. You know, I know, we all know that it's just a matter of time before his numbers balance out. And can y'all imagine what the league is going to have to deal with once his shooting slump is over? By acquiring the point guard, the Warriors have literally transformed themselves back into a juggernaut. And the league is going to regret ever letting this happen.